What's up, YouTube? So before we get started with this video, on ESPN College Football, they're going to be talking about, is there even going to be a college football season this year? So let's see what they have to say about that.
Turn out of college football. And this is a very, very important story, folks. Players are returning to campus. They're undergoing testing as they prepare for the start of the approved 6-week preseason plan. The schools across the country are reporting multiple positive tests, raising concern for commissioners, including Pac-12 Commissioner Larry Scott. He spoke with Andy Katz. Take a look at what he said. One of the threshold conversations we'll have to make as we think about fall sports coming up is whether we stick with the traditional approach that we're either all moving forward together or none of us are moving forward together. Whether that's within the league, within the FBS, Division I, I think we're all trying to stay flexible and creative in our thinking. And I think those of us that are involved in collegiate athletics need to be open to thinking about different approaches possible. For more on this.
So I definitely agree with Commissioner Scott. Everybody needs to be on the same page because you can control your players. You can control where they go. You can control whether or not they stay all in one dorm, quarantined from the rest of the school and everywhere else. You can control them going to the chow hall and making sure they're the only group of people in the chow hall. You can control them getting tested. You can control a lot of things with your players, but you don't necessarily have that same type of control with other teams that come in off the road. You don't know if they're wearing masks. You don't know if they've been quarantined. You don't know if they've been tested, for coronavirus. I mean, this is a lot of things that you don't know and you can't control. That's why everybody needs to be on the same page, because if not, that's how people get sick and how people die. So let's continue.
Let's bring in Paul Finebaum. Now, Paul, it sounds like a word salad for a lot of people, but I think he's saying something here that's very different from the narrative we had been hearing from a lot of commissioners before. What's the significance of these comments, and what does it sound like to you?
Ryan, he is the first of the Power Five commissioners to start to alert people that things are changing. What I mean by that is a couple of weeks ago, there was this train of positivity. Oh, we're going to have full stadiums. Nobody believes that anymore. In communicating with people around college football last night and today, there is an extreme nervousness, not about getting to the end of the season, but getting to the beginning of it. And I think what's happening around the country is their biggest enemy. They didn't count on that. They had a million problems to deal with if the country was recovering and doing well, not hitting spike numbers all over the country as we know. So right now, I think they're in a pause. They're watching these volunteer workouts, and they're slowly marching toward the beginning of real practice here in a couple of days, if not a week. And I expect the season to start late if it starts at all.
Yeah, so there's a lot of problems here, and it doesn't help that the number of cases are rising. I mean, that's not a good sign at all. Like I said, everybody's going to need to be on the same page. Coaches are going to have to tell their players and their staff, like, look, if we're going to make this work and if you want to be true to your craft, everybody is going to have to be on the same page. I can't stress that enough, because there are people that are dying because of this disease, and you don't want that. And another thing is, what if you're a senior? What's going to happen there? I mean, what if you're a fifth year senior and you don't get a chance to play? Do you get an extra year? How does that work? And then the schools have to fork out more money for scholarships, because actually your scholarship would have been gone to somebody else or went to somebody else because you would have graduated already. And so does someone get a seventh year? How does that work? I mean, this is really going to mess people up. But I thought about it. I was thinking, on the other hand, this could work out, because if you didn't have such a good year last year, and you need probably another year, you have at least another year to get bigger, stronger, faster with that extra year. So that might kind of save you in that right, trying to look at the situation positively. But there's a lot of things going on here that are really messing up a lot of people. So let's continue.
Now, so what's your general feeling as we look at this? Where do we stand right now? Where do you stand on not only, let's put aside starting on time, but whether it happens at all? Percentage chance, do you think that it will actually happen?
I think it's below 50% right now, Ryan, and that's realistic. It could change. I don't see it going up. I think the spikes around the country are scaring administrators. And when I say administrators, athletic directors, and especially presidents. That story out of Southern Cal yesterday reverberated in terms of no on-campus, in-class studies. Watch next week. The Ivy League, not exactly a threat to the college football powers of the world, but when they meet And if they decide to table the fall, which most people believe they will, and maybe try it in spring, it is going to reverberate around college football. And I think then you're going to hear a lot more about, can we make this work in spring? That's a whole nother debate. It's unlikely that you could pull it off with the big stars, but college football is in peril right now.
And just a couple.
Yeah, it definitely is. But I think it can be worked out. So another thing I was thinking about is all the teams that are stacked with seniors and leaders of their squad that they might miss out a year and they might not be able to play. And that's going to mess up if they're ranked in the top 25. That might mess up because if their seniors have to leave, they're not going to have that same caliber team that they would have if they would have played this year. So let's take a quick look at the AP top 25 teams. So number 1, LSU. Number 2, Clemson. Number 3, Ohio State. Number 4, Georgia. 5, Oregon. 6, Florida. 7, Oklahoma. 8, Alabama. 9, Penn State. 10, Minnesota. 11, Wisconsin. 12, Notre Dame. 13, Baylor. 14, Auburn. 15, Iowa. 16, Utah. 17, Memphis. 18, Michigan. 19, Appalachian State. See, Appalachian State is not generally known as a top 25 team. So for them to make it and be 19, that's huge for them. That's huge. And if they're stacked with seniors and they have to leave, they don't get another year eligibility, that's really going to mess things up. So continuing on, 20 is Navy, 21 Cincinnati, 22 Air Force, 23 Boise State, 24 UCF, and 25 is going to be Texas. So like I said, there's a lot of teams here that are probably stacked with seniors that are expecting to have a great year. And if those seniors don't get the year back, or just I don't even know how it's going to be worked out, they might miss out on being a bowl caliber type team. So there's just a lot of things messed up here. If you're a senior, if you're trying to get to the NFL, with your team rankings, there's just a lot of things that are messed up here, and everybody's going to have to be on the same page. I can't stress that enough. So let's continue.
So I only have about 30 seconds left, but college football in the spring, if that does happen, what's the number one problem for you that invites?
First of all, the compressed season, if basketball starts, you have everything converging at the same time. You're not going to have the biggest stars. Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, they're exiting. It would be tantamount